Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am MK Jabintaj. Today in this video I am giving you the knowledge about the second module of the subject data communication for 4th SEM CSE CBCS PTU students. I am dedicating this video to all the students all over the world. Now let us begin. Unit 2, Metallic Cable Transmission Media. Introduction. The transmission medium is the physical path between transmitter and receiver in a data transmission system. It is included in the physical layer of OSI protocol hierarchy. The transmission medium is usually free space, metallic cable or fiber optic cable. The information is usually a signal that is the result of a conversion of data from another form. Transmission media can be generally categorized as either unguided or guided. Guided transmission media uses a cabling system or some sort of the conductor that guides the data signals along a specific path. The data signals are bound by the cabling system. Guided media is also known as bound media. The conductor directs the signal propagating down it. Only devices physically connected to the medium can receive signals propagating down a guided transmission medium. Examples of guided transmission medium are copper wire and optical wire. See the figure. Unguided transmission media consists of a means for the data signals to travel but nothing to guide them along a specific path. The data signals are not bound to a cabling media and as such are often called unbound media. Unguided transmission media are wireless systems. Signals propagating down an unguided transmission medium are available to anyone who has a device capable of receiving them. A physical facility is one that occupies space and has weight as opposed to wireless media such as Earth's atmosphere or a vacuum, and includes metallic cables and optical cables. Metallic transmission lines includes open wire, twin lead and twisted pair copper wire, as well as coaxial cable. And optical fibers include plastic and glass core fibers encapsulated in various kinds of cladding materials. Metallic transmission lines. A transmission line is a metallic conductor system used to transfer electrical energy from one point to another using electrical current flow. It is two or more electrical conductors separated by a non-conductive insulated dielectric. It can be of varied lengths, varying from few inches to several thousand miles. It can be used to propagate DC or low frequency AC and also very high frequencies such as microwave radio frequency signals. Traverse electromagnetic waves. The two basic kinds of waves are longitudinal and transverse. With longitudinal waves, the displacement is in the direction of propagation. A surface wave or sound waves can be said as examples of longitudinal waves. With transverse waves, the direction or the displacement is perpendicular to the direction of the propagation. Electromagnetic waves are transverse waves. See the figure here. Propagation of electrical power along a transmission line occurs in the form of transverse electromagnetic waves. TEM wave propagates primarily in the non-conductor that separates the two conductors of the transmission line. The electric field E and the magnetic field H are perpendicular to each other at all points. This is referred to as space or quadrature. Electromagnetic waves that travel along a transmission line from the source to the load are called incident waves, and those that travel from the load back towards the source are called reflected waves. Now let us see characteristics of electromagnetic waves. The three main characteristics are wave velocity, frequency and wavelength. Wave velocity. Waves travel at different speeds depending on the type of the wave and the characteristics of the propagation medium. Sound travels at 1100 feet per second in normal atmosphere, where electromagnetic waves travel much faster in free space, that is in the vacuum. Waves travel at the speed of light, see approximately at 186,000 miles per second, and slightly slower in air and considerably slower along a transmission line. Frequency and wavelength. The oscillations of the electromagnetic wave are periodic and repetitive. The rate at which the periodic wave repeats in its frequency, the distance of one cycle occurring in space, is called wavelength and is given by distance is equal to velocity into time. If the time for one cycle is substituted above, we get the length of one cycle, which is called wavelength and is given by lambda is equal to velocity into period is equal to v into t, where lambda is the wavelength, v is the velocity and t is the period. Because t is equal to 1 divided by f, we can write lambda is equal to v divided by f. As for free space propagation, v is equal to c, the length of the one cycle is equal to lambda is equal to c divided by f is equal to 3 into 10 to the power of 8 m per s or f cycles per second. The transmission line classification: balanced transmission line. In two-wire balanced lines, both conductors carry current. One conductor carries the signal and the other conductor is in return path. This type of the transmission is called differential or balanced signal transmission. Both conductors in a balanced line carry signal currents which are equal in magnitude with respect to electrical ground but travel in the opposite directions. Currents that flow in opposite directions in a balanced wire pair are called metallic circuit currents, and currents that flow in same direction are called longitudinal currents. The chief advantage of the balanced line format is good rejection of external noise. Common forms of balanced line are twin lead used for radio frequency signals and twisted pair used for lower frequencies. Unbalanced transmission line. With an unbalanced transmission line, one wire is at ground potential whereas the other wire is at signal potential. This type of transmission line is called signal ended or unbalanced signal transmission. The ground wire may also be the reference for other signal carrying wires and must go anywhere any of the signal wires go. Unbalanced transmission lines have the advantage of requiring only one wire for each signal and only one ground line in a ground line is required no matter how many signals are grouped into one conductor. Balanced transmission lines can be connected to unbalanced transmission lines and vice versa with special transformers called balloons. Now let us see metallic transmission line types. All data communications systems and computer networks are interconnected to some degree with cables which form the most important part of the transmission medium transporting signals between computers. Parallel conductor transmission lines. Parallel wire transmission lines are comprised of two or more metallic conductors separated by a non-conductive insulating metal called a dielectric. Common dielectric materials include air, rubber, polyethylene, paper, mica, glass and Teflon. The most common parallel conductor transmission lines are open wire, twin lead and twisted pair, including unshielded twisted pair UTP and shielded twisted pair STP. Open wire transmission lines. There are two wire parallel conductors closely spaced and separated by air. Non-conductive spaces are placed at periodic intervals not only for support but also to keep the distance between the conductors constant. TEM wave propagates in the air between the conductors which acts as dielectric. The main advantage is its simple construction. See the figure here. Since no shielding is present, the radiation losses are high and capable is susceptible to picking up signals through mutual induction which produces crosstalk. The primary usage is in standard voice grade telephone applications. Twin lead is essentially the same as open wire transmission line except that the spares between the two conductors are replaced with a continuous solid dielectric ensuring the uniform spacing along the entire cable. It is mainly used to connect televisions to rooftop antennas. Common dielectric materials used with the twin lead cable are Teflon and polyethylene. Now let us see twisted pair transmission lines. A twisted pair transmission line is formed by twisting two insulated conductors around each other. Usually a number of pairs of these wires are put together into a cable. The cable may contain more than 100 pairs of wires for long distance communications. Twisted pair wires are the most most common media in a telephone network. These wires support both analog and digital signals and can transmit the signal at a speed of 10 Mbps over a short distance. The twisting of the wires with different twisting lengths reduces the effects of the crosstalk and low frequency interference. See the figure. Twisted pair transmission lines are also the transmission medium of choice for most local area networks because twisted pair cable is simple to install and relatively independent when compared to coaxial and optical fiber cables. Now let us see the two basic types of twisted pair transmission lines specified as unshielded twisted pair and shielded twisted pair. Unshielded twisted pair, an UTP cable consists of two copper wires where each wire is separately encapsulated in PVC insulation. Bandwidth can be improved by controlling the number of twists per foot and also the manner in which the multiple pairs are twisted around each other. The minimum number of twists for UTP cable is 2 per foot. See the figures. UTP are cheaper, more flexible and easier to install. They provide enough support for telephone systems and are not covered by metal insulation. They offer acceptable performance for a long distance signal transmission, but as they are uninsulated, they are affected by crosstalk, atmospheric conditions, electromagnetic interference and adjacent twisted pairs, as well as by any noise generated nearby. The majority of the telephone twisted pair are unshielded and can transmit signals at a speed of 10 Mbps. The Electronic Industries Association has developed a standard to grade UTP cable by quality. Category 1 as the lowest quality and Category 6 as the highest quality. Quality 1. The basic twisted pair cabling used in the telephone systems. This level of quality is fine for voice but inadequate for data transmission. Category 2. This category is suitable for voice and data transmission up to 2 Mbps. 3. This category is suitable for data transmission of up to 10 Mbps. It is now the standard cable for most telephone systems, at least 3 twists per feet. 4. The category is suitable for data transmission up to 20 Mbps. 5. The category is suitable for data transmission up to 100 Mbps. 6. Cat 6 is recently proposed cable type comprises of 4 pairs of wire cables of operating at transmission rates of up to 400 Mbps. Advantages of UTP are it's easy to terminate, installation costs are less and more lines can be run through the same wiring ducts. Disadvantages of UTP are it's a bit noisy and prone to the interference. See the table here. Category, specification, data rate in Mbps and use. Categories of unshielded twisted pair cables. Now let us see shielded twisted pair cables. STP cable is a parallel two-wire transmission line consisting of two copper conductors separated by a solid dielectric material. The wires and the dielectrics are enclosed in a conductive metal sleeve called a foil. If the sleeve is woven into a mesh, it's called braid. The metal casting prevents the penetration of electromagnetic noisy materials, and manufacturing requirements make STP more expensive than UTP but less susceptible to the noise. Now let us see plenum cable. Plenum cable are the electrical or telecommunication cables or wires which are installed in environmental airspace in the interior of many commercial and residential buildings. It is a common practice to route communication cables and the like for computers, data devices and alarm systems through a plenums in building constructions. If a fire occurs in a building which includes the plenums or risers, the non-fire redundant plenum construction would enable the fire to spread very rapidly throughout the entire building. Typically, plenum data cables have 2 or more pairs of the insulated conductors in a common jacket. The insulation can be made of several types of flame redundant retardant insulation. A plenum is defined as a compartment or chamber to which one or more air ducts are connected and which forms part of the air distribution system of the structure. Plenum cables have a plurality of twisted pair conductors surrounded by a jacket. The twisted pairs generally all have the same twist or substantially the same twist. A typical and widely used flame retardant insulation for conductors in data plenum cables is fluorinated ethylene propylene category 5 plenum cable made of jacketed twisted pairs of insulated conductors has to satisfy a number of electrical requirements set by the EIA or TIA specification 568A. Now let us see coaxial concentric transmission lines. Because of the advent of modern UTP and STP twisted pair cables, coaxial cable is very less in computer networks but still has very high importance in analog systems such as cable television distribution networks. The basic coaxial cable consists of a center conductor surrounded by a dielectric material insulation, then a concentric uniform distance from the center shielding, and finally a rubber environmental protection outer jacket. A coaxial cable with one layer of the foil insulation and one layer of the braided shading in is referred to as dual shielded, and if two layers of foil insulation and two layers of braided metal shielding are present, it's called quad shielding. See the figure here. Two basic types of coaxial cables are present: rigid air-filled and solid flexible. Rigid air-filled cables are relatively expensive and are tough to maintain. Coaxial cables are capable of operating at higher bit rates than their parallel wire counterparts. Very secure than twisted pair cable, can be used over long distances, immune to external radiation, and radiate little themselves. Disadvantages of coaxial transmission lines are their poor cost to performance ratio, low reliability, and high maintenance. The Archie numbering system used with coaxial cables refers to cables approved by the US Department of Defense. See the category, impedance, and use. Categories of coaxial cables. To connect coaxial cable to devices, it is necessary to use coaxial conductors. The most common type of connector in the Bevan Neil Cancelman are BNC connectors. BNC connectors are sometimes referred to as bayonet mount as they can be easily twisted on or off. There are three types: the BNC connectors, the BNC T connectors, the BNC terminators. Applications include cable TV networks and some traditional Ethernet LANs like 10 base 2 or 10 base 5. Metallic transmission line equivalent circuit. The characteristics of the transmission line are determined by its electrical properties like wire conductivity, insulated, dielectric constant, and its physical properties like wire diameter and conductor spacing. These properties in turn determines the primary electric constants, series resistance, series inductance, shunt capacitance, and shunt conductance. Resistance and inductance occur along the line, whereas capacitance and conductance occur between the conductors. Characteristics: impedance. For maximum power transfer from the source to load, a transmission line must be terminated in a purely resistive load equal to the characteristic impedance of the transmission line. The transmission line stores energy in its distributed inductance and capacitance. Using Ohm's law, the characteristic impedance is simply the ratio of source voltage E0 to the line current I0 given by Z0 is equal to E0 divided by I0, where Z0 is characteristic impedance in ohms, E0 is the source voltage in the volts, and I0 is the transmission line current in amps. Characteristic impedance of two-wire parallel transmission line with an air dielectric can be determined from its physical dimensions. Z0 is equal to 276 log DRR, where D is the distance between the centers of the two conductors and R is the radius of the conductors. Characteristic impedance of a coaxial cable can also be determined from its physical. See the equation here. Physical dimensions, where D is the inside diameter of the conductor and ER is the relative dielectric constant of the insulating material. Wave propagation on the metallic transmission lines. EM waves travel at the speed of light through vacuum and nearly the same through air, but they travel considerably slowly in metallic transmission lines where the conductor is generally copper and the dielectric materials vary with the cable type, velocity factor and dielectric constant. Velocity factor is defined as the ratio of actual velocity of the propagation of an electromagnetic wave through a given medium to the velocity of the propagation through a vacuum. Mathematically is given by Vf is equal to Vp by C, where Vf is the velocity factor, Vp is the actual velocity of the propagation and C is the velocity of propagation through a vacuum. Dielectric constant is simply the relative permittivity of a material. The dielectric constant depends on the type of the insulating material used. The velocity at which an EM wave propagates along a transmission line varies with the inductance and capacitance of the cable. Time can be given as T is equal to root of LC. Inductance, capacitance and velocity of the propagation can be given by the formula velocity into time is equal to distance. Therefore, Vp is equal to distance or time is equal to distance by time is equal to d by t, which can be written as Vp is equal to d into root of d by root of LC. If the distance is normalized to 1 meter, the velocity of the propagation for a lossless transmission line is Vp is equal to 1 divided by root of LC. Metallic transmission line losses. Signal power is lost in transmission line through different waves: conductor loss, radiation loss, dielectric, heating loss, coupling loss and corona. All these losses are lumped together and are specified as an attenuation loss in the decibels per unit length. Conductor losses. As electrical current flows through a metallic transmission line, there is an inherent and unavoidable power loss because of the finite resistance present in the line. This loss is termed as conductor loss or conductor heating loss and is simply I square R power loss. Radiation losses. Radiation and induction losses are similar in that both are caused by the fields surrounding the conductors. Induction losses occur when the electromagnetic field about a conductor cuts through any nearby metallic object and a current is induced in that object. Radiation losses are reduced by properly shielding the cable. Therefore, STP and coaxial cables have less radiation than UTP, twin lead and open wire. Now let us see coupling losses. Coupling loss occurs whenever a connection is made to R from a transmission line or when two sections of the transmission line are connected together. Discontinuities are the locations where the similar materials meet and they tend to heat up, radiate energy and dissipate power. Corona is a luminous discharge that occurs between the two conductors of a transmission line when the difference of the potential between them exceeds the breakdown voltage of the dielectric insulator. When corona occurs, the transmission line is destroyed. Now let us see optical fiber transmission medium. An optical communication system is one that uses light as the carrier of information. They use glass or plastic fiber cables to contain the light waves and guide them in a manner similar to the way EM waves are guided through a metallic transmission medium. Advantages of optical fiber cables: wider bandwidth and greater information capacity. The light waves occupies the frequency range between 2 into 10 to the power of 12 Hz to 37 into 10 to the power of 12 Hz. This makes the information carrying capacity of the fiber optic cables is much higher. Immunity to crosstalk. Since fiber optic cables use glass and plastic fibers which are non-conductors of electrical current, no magnetic field is present. No magnetic induction means no crosstalk. Immunity to static interference. And optical fiber cables are non-conductors. They are immune to electromagnetic interference caused by lightning, electric motors, relays, fluorescent lights, and other electrical noise sources. Environmental immunity. Optical fibers are more immune to the environmental extremes. They can operate over large temperature variations and are also not affected by corrosive liquids and gases. Safety and conveniences. As only glass and plastic fibers are present, no electrical currents or voltages are associated with them. Also, they can be used around any volatile liquids and gases without worrying about their causing explosions or fires. Lower transmission lines. Fiber optic cables offer less signal attenuation over long distances. Typically, it is less than 1 dB per kilometer. Security. Optical fibers are more secure as they are almost impossible to tap into because they do not radiate signals. No ground loop exist between optical fibers, hence they are more secure. Durability and reliability. Optical cables last longer and are more reliable than metallic facilities because fiber cables have a higher tolerance to changes in environmental conditions and are immune to corrosive materials. Economics. Low cost of optical fiber cables is the same as metallic cables. Fiber cables have less loss and require fewer repeaters, which in turn needs lower installation and overall system costs. Disadvantages of optical fiber cables. Interfacing costs. Yet optical cables need to be connected standard electronic facilities requiring expensive interfaces. Strength. Optical cable have lower tensile strength than coaxial cable. They need an extra coating of Kelvin and also a protective jacket of PVC. Glass fiber is also fragile, making them less attractive in case of the hardware portability is required. Remote electrical power. Occasionally, electrical power needs to be provided to remote interfaces which cannot be accomplished using optical cables. Losses through bending. Bending the cable causes irregularities in the cable dimensions, resulting in loss of signal power. Also, optical cables are prone to manufacture defects, causing an excessive loss of the signal power. Specialized tools, equipment, and training. Special tools are required to splice and repair cables, and special test equipment are needed to make routine measurements. Technicians working on optical cables need special skills and trainings. Now let us see electromagnetic spectrum. The electromagnetic spectrum is the range of all possible frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. The electromagnetic spectrum of an object is the characteristics of distribution of electromagnetic radiation emitted or observed by that particular object. The frequency spectrum extends from the subsonic frequencies to cosmic rays. The light frequency spectrum can be divided into three general bands. Infrared, the band of the frequency that is too high to be seen by the human eye, with wavelengths ranging from 770 nm and 10 to the power of 6 nm. Optical fibers generally operate in infrared band. Visible, the band of the light frequencies to which the human eye will respond with wave lengths ranging from 390 nm and 770 nm. This band is visible to human eye. Third one is ultraviolet, the band of the light frequencies that are too low to be seen by the human eye, with wavelengths ranging between 10 mn and 390 nm. See the figure here. The three primary building blocks are transmitter, receiver, and optical fiber cables. The transmitter is comprised of a voltage to current converter, a light source and source to fiber interface. The fiber guide is the transmission medium, which is either an ultra pure glass or plastic cable. The receiver includes a fiber to interface, a photo detector and a current to voltage converter. See the figure here. There are two basic types of fiber optic cable. The difference is whether the fiber is free to move inside a tube with a diameter much larger than the fiber or is inside a relatively tight fitting jacket. They are referred to as loose tube and tight buffer cables. See the figure. Both methods of construction have advantages. Loose tube cables, all the stress of the cable pulling is taken up by the cable's strength members and the fiber is free to expand and contract with temperature. Tight buffer cables are cheaper and generally easier to use. Now let us see physics of light. Albert Einstein and Max Planck showed that when light is emitted or absorbed, it behaves like an electromagnetic wave and also like a particle called photon, which possesses energy proportional to its frequency. This is known as Planck's law. It states when visible light or high frequency electromagnetic radiation illuminates a metallic surface, electrons are emitted. It is expressed mathematically as EP is equal to hV, where EP is the energy of the photons in joules, H is the Planck's constant and F is the frequency of light. The process of decaying from one energy level to another energy level is called spontaneous decay or spontaneous emission. The process of moving from one energy level to another is called absorption. Optical power measures that rate at which the electromagnetic waves transfer light energy. It is described as the flow of light energy past a given point in a specified time, expressed mathematically as P is equal to D, that is energy, divided by D, time, dq divided by dt, where P is the optical power in watts and dq is the instantaneous charge in joules. Velocity of propagation. Refraction. Refraction is the bending of light when the light passes from one medium to another. The angle between the light ray and the normal as it leaves a medium is called the angle of incidence. The angle between the light ray and the normal as it enters a medium is called the angle of refraction. See the figure. When an electromagnetic wave is reduced as it passes from one medium to another medium of denser material, the light ray changes direction or refracts, bends towards the normal. When an electromagnetic wave passes from one more dense material into a less dense material, the light ray is refracted away from the normal. The normal is simply an imaginary line drawn perpendicular to the interface of two materials at the point of incidence. See the figure here. Refractive index. Refractive index is simply the ratio of velocity of propagation of light ray in free space to the velocity of propagation of light ray in given material, given by n is equal to c divided by v, where n is the refractive index, c is the speed of the light and v is the speed of light in a given material. Typically, indexes of refraction of some materials are given here. See the figure. Now let us see Snell's law. This relationship between the angles of incidence and refraction and the indices of the refraction of the two medium is known as Snell's law. Snell's law applies to the refraction of light in any situation regardless of what the two media are. See the figure here. Snell's law is stated mathematically as n1 sin theta 1 is equal to n2 sin theta 2. Where n1 is the refractive index of the material 1, n2 is the refractive index of the material 2, theta 1 is the angle of incidence and theta 2 is the angle of refraction. Critical angle. The angle of incidence is called the critical angle theta c, which is defined as the minimum angle of incidence at which a light ray may strike the interface of the two media and the result in an angle of refraction of 90 degrees or greater. Light ray has to travel from media of higher refractive index to the media of lower refractive index, expressed as the following equation. Acceptance angle, acceptance cone and numerical aperture. For a ray of light to propagate down the cable, it must strike the internal core or cladding interface at an angle that is greater than the critical angle. See the equation where theta in max is acceptance angle and acceptance cone half angle. It defines the maximum angle in which the external light rays may strike the air or glass interface and still propagate down the fiber. Rotating the acceptance angle around the fiber axis, a cone pattern is obtained called an acceptance cone of the fiber input. The cone of the acceptance is the angle within which the light is accepted into the core and is able to travel along the fiber. Launching light wave will be easier for a large acceptance cone. See the below figure. Numerical aperture NA is used to describe the light gathering or light collecting ability of an optical fiber. Larger the magnitude of NA, greater the amount of external light the fiber will accept. Describe as see the equation here. Therefore, it can be written as theta in is equal to sine inverse of NA. Propagation of light through an optical fiber cable. Light can be propagated using either refraction or reflection, and the way light propagates depends on the mode of propagation and the index profile of the fiber. Now let us see modes of propagation. Mode simply means path. If there is only one path for light rays to take down a cable, it is called single mode, and if there is more than one path, it is called multi-mode. In single mode, the light travels directly down the center of the cable, whereas for multi-mode, light rays propagate down the cable in a zigzagging fashion following several paths. The number of modes possible for a given cable can be given by the following equation, where n is the number of modes, d is the core diameter, lambda is the wavelength, and n1 is the refractive index of core, and n2 is the refractive index of cladding. See the figure here. Now let us see index profile. Index profile of an optical fiber is a graphical representation of magnitude of the refractive index across the fiber. The above figure shows the index profiles of the three types of fibers. Two basic types of index profiles are present. A step index fiber has a central core with a uniform refractive index. A graded index fiber has no cladding and the refractive index of the core is non-uniform. It is highest at the center of the core and decreases gradually with the distance towards the outer edge. See the now let us see the optical fiber modes and classifications. There are three practical types of optical fiber configurations: single mode step index, multi-mode step index, and multi-mode graded index. Single mode step index optical fiber. The fiber has a central core that is sufficiently small that there is essentially only one path for light ray through the cable. In most cases, the outside cladding is air, making this fiber to have a wide external acceptance angle, making it relatively easy to couple to a light source. But this type of the fiber is very weak and difficult to splice or terminate. A more practical approach will be the single mode step index fiber that has a cladding other than air. This would be physically stronger than air-clad fiber, but critical angle will be higher, resulting in a small acceptance angle. This makes it difficult to couple light into the fiber from a light source. Now let us see advantages. Minimum dispersion. All rays take same path, same time to travel down the cable. A pulsive cable be reproduced at the receiver very accurately. Less attenuation can run over long distance without repeaters. Larger bandwidth and higher information rate. Difficult to couple light in and out of the tiny core. Highly directive light source laser is required. Interfacing modules are more expensive. See the figures. Now let us see multi-mode step index optical fiber. These are the similar to single mode step index fibers, except the center core is much larger in the multi-mode configuration. This type has a large light to fiber aperture and therefore allows more external light to enter the cable. Light rays travel down the cable in zigzag fashion, continuously reflecting off the interface boundary. Light rays travel in many paths as it propagates down the fiber, so all light rays do not follow the same path and do not take same amount of time to travel the length of the cable. Advantages: these are relatively expensive and simple to manufacture. It is easier to couple light into and out of multimode step index fiber as they have a relatively large source to fiber aperture. Now let us see disadvantages. As light rays travel in different paths, a larger difference in propagation times results. So the rays traveling down have a tendency to spread out. Consequently, the pulse of light propagating down is more distorted than other types of fibers. Less bandwidth and lower rate of information transfer rates when compared to other types. Multimedia graded index optical fiber. These fibers are characterized by a central core with a non-uniform refractive index. Cable's density is maximum at center and decreases gradually towards the edge. Light rays is propagated through refraction. As the light propagates across the core towards the center, it intersects a less dense to more dense medium. Consequently, light rays constantly being refracted, resulting in continuous bending of the light rays. The light rays take approximately the same amount of time to travel the length of the fiber. The cable is mostly used for long distance communication. Now let us see losses in optical fiber cables. Power loss in optical fiber cables is often called attenuation and results in reduction of power of light waves as it travels down the cable. Generally, the total power loss is expressed as the equation where A dB is total reduction in power level attenuation and P out is the cable output power and P in is the cable input power. Multi-mode fibers tend to have more attenuation than single mode cables because of the increased scattering of light wave. Transmission losses in optical fibers result in reduction in light power, thus reducing the system bandwidth, information transmission rate, efficiency and overall system capacity. The predominant losses are absorption losses. It is analogous to power dissipation in copper cables as impurities in the fiber absorb the light and convert it to heat. The three main factors contribute to absorption losses: ultraviolet absorption caused by the valence electrons in the silica material from which fibers are manufactured; infrared absorption, result of the photons of light that are absorbed by the atoms of the glass core molecules; ion resonance absorption caused by OH ion in the material; iron, copper and chromium molecules also cause ion absorption. Now let us see materials are relief scattering losses. Relief scattering of light is due to the small localized changes in the refractive index of the core and cladding material. Two main causes for this. The first is due to the slight fluctuation in mixing of integrants. The random changes because of this are impossible to eliminate completely. The other cause is slight change in density as the silica cools and solidifies. When light ray strikes such zones, it gets scattered in all directions. The amount of scatter depends on the size of discontinuity compared with the wavelength of the light. So the shortest wavelength suffers most scattering. Chromatic distortion or wavelength dispersion. Light rays that are simultaneously emitted from a lead and propagated down an optical fiber do not arrive at the far end of the fiber at the same time, which results in a impairment called chromatic distortion. It occurs only in fibers with a single mode of transmission and can be eliminated using monochromatic light sources like injection laser diode. Radiation losses. These are caused predominantly by small bends, wand kinks in the fiber. The two types of bends are microbends and constant radius bends. Microbending occurs as a result of difference in the thermal contraction rates between core and cladding material and results in the material bend along the axis of the fiber and represents a discontinuity where relief scattering occurs. Constant radius bends are caused by excessive pressure and tension and generally occur when fibers are bent during installation. Now let us see model dispersion. Model dispersion called the pulse spreading is caused by the difference in the propagation times of the light rays that take different paths down a fiber and occurs only in multimode fibers. It can be reduced considerably by using graded index fibers and also almost entirely eliminated using single mode step index fibers. In 3 rays of light are emitted. If 3 rays of light are emitted into the fiber at the same time, each ray would reach the far end at the different time, resulting in a spreading out of the light energy with respect to time. This is called modal dispersion. Coupling losses. These losses are caused by imperfect physical connections. These occur at 3 types of junctions: light source to fiber connections, fiber to fiber connections, and fiber to photodetector connections. They are caused by one of the following alignment problems. See the figure here. Lateral displacement. It is the lateral or axial displacement between 2 pieces of adjoining fiber cables. Gap displacement or misalignment where splices are made in optical fibers. The fibers should actually touch the farther apart the fibers are, the greater the loss of light. Angular displacement. It is sometimes called angular displacement, and if it is less than 2 degrees, the loss will typically be less than 0.5 dB. Imperfect surface finish. The ends of the 2 adjoining fibers should be highly published and fit together squarely. If the fiber ends are less than 3 degrees off from perpendicular, the losses will typically be less than 0.5 dB. Now let us see light sources. Light sources are used in fiber optic communication to generate light pulses at wavelengths effectively propagated by the optical fiber. They also should produce sufficient power to allow the light to propagate through the fiber without causing distortion in the cable or receiver. 2 types of practical light resources used to generate light for optical fiber communication systems: light emitting diodes and injection laser diodes. Light emitting diodes. LED is a PN junction diode usually made from a semiconductor material such as aluminum, gallium arsenide or gallium arsenide phosphide. LEDs emit light by spontaneous emission. Light is emitted as a result of the recombination of electrons and holes. LEDs can provide light output. When forward biased, the LED has to output power, slower switching speed, and greater spectral width, hence more dispersion. These deficiencies make it not useful for high speed and long distance communication. The output of LED is non-coherent and coupling efficiency is very low. Injection laser diode are similar to LEDs and they act similarly below a certain threshold current, above the threshold current, and ILD oscillates and lasting occurs as current passes through a forward biased PN junction diode. Light is emitted by spontaneous emission at a very determined by the at a frequency determined by the energy gap of the semiconductor material. The radiant output power of ILD is more directive than a LED. After lasing occurs, the optical power increases dramatically with small increases in drive current. Advantages: ILD emit coherent light compared to incoherent light emitted by the LED. So ILD have a more direct radiant pattern, making it easier to couple light emitted by the ILD into an optical fiber cable. Coupling losses are reduced and also small fibers can be used. The radiant output power of ILD is greater than that for a LED. Typically, the output power for the for an ILD is 5 MW and only 0.5 MW for lead. This allows ILDs to provide a higher drive power and can be used for operation over longer distances. ILDs can be used at higher bit rates than LEDs. ILDs generate monochromatic light which reduces chromatic or wavelength dispersion. Disadvantages: ILDs are typically 10 times more expensive than LEDs. As ILDs operate at higher powers, they have a short lifetime. ILDs are more temperature dependent than LEDs. Light detectors. Two devices are commonly used to detect light energy in optical fiber communications: receivers, pin diodes and APD. Pin diodes are the most common device used and operate just the opposite of LED. APDs are more sensitive than pin diodes and require less additional amplification. The disadvantages of the APDs are relatively long transmit times and additional internally generated noise due to avalanche multiplication factor. Characteristics of light detectors. Responsibility. A measure of the conversion efficiency of photo detector. It is the ratio of the output current of the photodiode to the input optical power and has the unit of amperes per watt. Dark current. The leakage current that flows through a photodiode with no light input. Transmit time. The time it makes a light induced carrier to the travel across the depletion region of the semiconductor determines the maximum bit rate possible. Spectral response. The range of the wavelength values that a given photodiode will respond to a light sensitivity. The minimum optical power a light detector can receive and still produce an unusable electrical output signal. Laser stands for light amplification stimulated by the emission of the radiation. It deals with the concentration of light into a very small powerful beam. There are four types of lasers. Gas lasers. Gas lasers use a mixture of helium and neon enclosed in the glass tube. A flow of coherent light waves is emitted when an electric current is discharged into the gas. The continuous light wave output in monochromatic one color. Liquid lasers. They use organic dyes enclosed in a glass tube for an active medium. A powerful pulse of light excites the organic dye. Solid lasers. They use a solid cylindrical crystal such as ruby for the active medium. Both ends of the ruby are polished and parallel, and the ruby is excited by a tungsten lamp tied to an AC power supply. It produces a continuous wave. Fourth one is semiconductor lasers. They are made from semiconductor PN junctions and are commonly called injection laser diodes. The excitation mechanism is a DC power supply that controls the amount of current to the active medium. The output light is easily modulated, making it very useful in many electronic communication systems. Laser characteristics. All types of lasers use an active material to convert energy into laser light. A pumping source to provide power or energy. Optics to direct the beam through the active material to be amplified. Optics to direct the beam into a narrow powerful cone of divergence. A feedback mechanism to provide continuous operation. An output coupler to transmit power out of the laser.